I'm
All
on
right,
cue
boys.
too.
So we're
What's
live
up,
on all
fellas?
the pages. We have updated StreamYard. We're live on all pages. So everybody join the conversation. Tonight's the first official roundtable with Loudmouth and Fourth and 15. Again, guys, let's have fun. Uh, Ronnie, Mel, Court, what up, boys?
What's
What's
happening?
going on, G?
What's up? What's up? So, man, I'm gonna start off with a bang because I've been sitting here and with everything going on, and you put up a post yesterday about start one, cut one, bench one, and people are like, "Why is Lamar Jackson about to get cut?" And I'm like, well, I mean, if anybody says cut Patrick Mahomes, they'll probably need drug tested because they're probably on some shit. And then Russell Wilson, I don't know. He won a Super Bowl. Should have ran another one had he caught an audible and switched to a run play. But that dude has been a baller for since he's been in the league. So I mean, and Lamar Jackson, yeah, he won MVP, but it's like it's not what you do in the regular season. It's about what you're going to do in the playoffs. So I mean, it looks all cute in the regular season. Peyton Manning is one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks of all time. Then you look at it in the playoffs, and he has a what is he? He's like tied for wins and losses. I mean, with
Two
two
and
Super
two.
Bowls. 2 and 2 Super Bowls. His playoff, he wins just as much as he loses in the playoffs. So does it really matter if you get there every year if you're just going to break even?
Well, I mean, no, it does. It kind of does, and then again, it doesn't. Here's why I say that. It's no secret that Peyton Manning is arguably the greatest passer in the history of football. But let's not forget, in college, he did not win the national championship. It was the guy after him who won the national championship at Tennessee, that being T. Martin. Now, when you see Peyton in the regular season, he basically looks like no team is prepared for him because he knows the playbook like the back of his hand. Audibles, you don't know where the ball's going, you don't know the snap count. So yeah, Peyton come in with a lot of intangibles. Now, the reason I started Mahomes, I benched Russell, and I cut Lamar is because, as I said last night, Lamar is not in the top 10 when it comes to passing efficiency. That's not always his fault. That's kind of play calling. That's also kind of, him just being an athlete. But for me, I need passing efficiency. I need accuracy. Lamar does at times when you put pressure on him for real, he struggles being accurate. It's been shown. Now with me, you look at Mahomes. Mahomes been lighting it up since college. Russell, at the time he left college, he owned several records. My bad. He owned several records at two different schools. One being NC State, the other one being Wisconsin. You cannot ignore that. I don't care what you say. You can't ignore that. So, having Lamar as a dual threat, it helps, but it's also a liability. I'm not knocking Lamar. I don't have anything against Lamar. It's just the truth. Because the minute Lamar takes off, what happens? He's a dead duck in water if he get hit hard enough. And we've all seen it with Randall Cunningham, RG3. When you get hurt and them knees go, it's a totally different story. So that was the reason I cut him, because I need accuracy and I need to push the ball down the field. And, a 2-minute drive, yeah, Lamar has a couple of them so far, but at the same time, Russell and Mahomes have the ability to turn it on and off and, keep a fire going at will. So that was why I started Mahomes, benched Russell, cut Lamar. You can disagree with me all you want, but the top 10 in passing efficiency, the top 10 in accuracy, the top 10 in yards and passing touchdowns say different. So everybody want to go on numbers. Those are the numbers. Russell
Hey, Smooth,
and Mahomes.
what you think? Let's get each one of somebody, and then I'll come back and finish it off, and then we can switch to the next one.
Let's see. Who I would cut? Man. Dang. To be honest with you, man, I'm pretty much in the same boat because I was looking through names and I'm like, a guy who is a dual threat. I mean, it's cool to have, but I feel like the league has adjusted so much to that. If you have the elite defenses that's out there, they're going to look for a guy like that and try to contain him and do what they have to do. And prime example, I really hate to say this, but that game when, Cleveland somehow won 40-25, like they showed
That
that
was
they could
all Nick
contain that
Chubb.
guy. And part of that too was that D like keeping him at bay because the thing is, you had a better pass rush at the time frame, obviously, but then also them confusing the secondary and trying to like mask a whole bunch of defenses and whatnot because you figure we're still dealing with a guy who's early in his career, so he's going to make some mistakes like that early on to where he can't read certain defenses or defensive backfields yet. So like when Mel's talking about when it comes to efficiency and getting the ball downfield, that's something that he's just going to learn along the way eventually, you know what I'm saying? But his feet have been what's helped him out the most. And for him to like almost lead the, team in rushing or whatever, that threw me off too. I'm like, man, you a guy who was leading the rushing on the team. You obviously are leading passing because you're the quarterback and the ball, right? But the thing is, though, that's not going to be enough to win titles. It'll be enough to win like a division or to, compete. But getting past that second round is going to be too difficult. Looking at somebody like, let's say, like Mahomes, dude's efficient. He makes good decisions, gets the ball downfield when he has to, finds those guys that's open. He throws to everybody, because the thing that I told Mel about earlier last season was it felt like the plays were pretty simple, but it worked for Baltimore. So like Andrews, right, primary target. You knew it was going to Andrews or it was being thrown to like Ingram or somebody out the backfield, or he was going to take off running. And once you focus too much on the backfield, he was going to let it go downfield to Brown, deep. So it was like the same thing over and over again that just worked for them. But once you go against like more of an elite defense or a coach that kind of knows how to handle that, then they're pretty much shut down. But they just were really good at running kind of the same thing over and over again. But I feel like down the road he'll be fine. But right now, that's somebody who I would go with too, to be honest.
George, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm roughly in the same boat. Again, I had out of those three guys, Lamar got the cut mainly just because it was his first year. I mean, that was the hard part too. I mean, both the other two guys have, again, rings already under their resume. That was my biggest thing. But the reason I gave Wilson the nod is outside of after they won that Super Bowl and was able to go back to it. And I mean, let's be honest, Pete Carroll makes one play call change or maybe one or two play call changes. He has 2 rings. I mean, we could always play that what if game, but let's be honest, Beast Mode had 4 yards of carry and they were on the 3-yard line with, it was what, second down, and they had more than enough time to run 2 plays.
Yeah.
But I gave Russell the biggest thing because even with Beast Mode, I'll say he had average maybe wide receivers. I mean, even now with Metcalf, which is real nice, and Lockett, I mean, they're getting better, and Lockett's definitely coming into that almost Tyreek Hill groove of just a speedster that can actually do more than kind of what Percy Harvin did whenever he came to the league. But Russell didn't have much around him. I mean, hell, we talked about it last show. After Max Unger left, I mean, that offensive line went to shit. And, and with all the backs being hurt, Russ put that team on his back. And, again, the defense helps, but Russ did a lot of that. And, again, Patrick Mahomes, he even with a trash defense, and I mean, call it what it is, but KC's over the years had a defense that Patrick Mahomes had to put up 48 points to win games. So that's why I did Russell 1, cut Lamar, and then bench Mahomes just because Russ has done more with less.
So I think I like each. So I'm gonna take something away from each one of y'all, and then we can wrap it up and go to Mel for the next one. But I like what Mel said because, like you said, with Lamar Jackson, like I hate the comparison that people put Cam Newton as a running quarterback. Like when you look at Cam Newton, he has not had the talent around him. He's had Greg Olsen his whole career. That's it. Cam,
Yep.
when you look at him, he's a pocket quarterback, but he can make plays and become that dual threat. And I just felt like Lamar Jackson, like you said, and then what Smooth said, you can key in on Lamar Jackson because if y'all remember, Pittsburgh, the first game, we gave them the ball in overtime because we felt so confident in our defense that we would be able to get a stop. And it turned out great because it was a great idea because we got a 3-and-out, and then Juju fumbled the ball because he got it punched out by Humphreys. But even against, like you look at Seattle, the 49ers when they played them, their defense stopped them. It was just their offense couldn't get it going. And it's like you can key in on Lamar Jackson because it's like he's so, like you said, a smart defense can prepare. Just like how Seattle, they said the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning was so easy because they studied film, probably because Peyton was older, but they were able to understand his lingo. They were able to understand how he moved. So it was a piece of cake for them compared to Peyton in his earlier years where that scheme was all bunched up. And then what George said, just having like two guys who've been there, done that. I mean, George said they had average receivers. I love Doug Baldwin. I thought he was way above average. Like I thought he was the top 10 receiver, Doug Baldwin, in his like last 3 years with him, because he was just consistent. And at big time plays, anytime they needed him, the ball's going to him and y'all ain't stopping it. Kind of like how Edelman was for the Patriots and during their playoff runs. 3rd and 11, 3rd and 29, I'm going to Doug Baldwin for Russell Wilson. So I think that's a good topic, man. Like I really like that one. So that's a good way to start it off. Mel, what you got next, man?
All right. I'm on my computer right now, and
All right, time to cut up.
just for the sake of argument, because this was something I wanted to hear from you guys.
You're a mess.
Yeah, clearly. Greatest college football game you've seen in your lifetime.
Damn.
And the reason I'm asking that is because ESPN's been showing it. We did the show with Daryl Spencer, and we brought up Catholics versus convicts. So we've all played college at some point. So my question to you is greatest college football game you've seen, not ESPN's greatest, your greatest.
I'll go first because I'm the youngest. For me, man, like watching Clemson versus Bama, Deshaun Watson's year. Holy shit.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a haymaker game where you're like, oh my God, like what the fuck is about to happen? And you're like, oh, Bama's about to whoop their ass. And then Deshaun Watson's like, And then that third down play to Renfro coming out the back to the goal line. I'm like, oh! So I'm going with Bama versus Clemson 2013, I think 2014. Yeah, yep. So that's for me, man. That game was just, I still get chills thinking about that game, man.
Man.
Ronnie, what about you?
For me, it would have been the OSU Miami National Championship.
Of course.
Just seeing how that went down, because my thing is, when everybody was talking about like bad play calls, not bad play calls, but like, bad penalties and stuff like that, and how I got forced into a second overtime based off of a bad call. It's just like it was so much drama back and forth, and then seeing those injuries, man, because like that was my first time seeing a dude get his knee blown up like that. Because remember, man, this is before Fred, Mel. This is before Fred.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
so
was it before Fred? Was it after Fred? Because I was a sophomore back.
Might have been same
because I was a sophomore when Fred had his injury, and that.
Oh yeah, that was
oh my God! Why you had to bring that up, man?
Yeah, bro. But seeing that knee, like when Matt Wilhelm, man, and that hit, and like the gate, bro, that was the nastiest thing. Like on live television, it was like, oh, that was the sickest thing I ever seen. And then same season, we had our own, QB go down and seeing his knee dislocate. And that dude was like 2 feet away from me at the time too. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I felt bad because that year I was playing center, so I didn't want to be like pointing fingers, you know what I mean? Because seeing the blitz, I called it. I had my guy, and I know all I hear is that was it, and I'm looking like, oh, okay, that's what's going on behind me. Yeah. But anyway, like with Miami and OSU, man, just the back and forth and like the battles. You got Andre Johnson out there, and you got Chris Campbell. Like there was so many high-profile NFL players in that game going at it neck and neck, man, just stride for stride. Like that was the crazy thing I ever seen. And then for Tressel to like open it up, being how conservative he is with play calling and stuff, it was the greatest thing I ever seen, man. And I remember watching it on the Jumbotron or whatever, and seeing it like in an arena, like watching it, just seeing it live like that, and like everybody just going crazy, like you're at an actual game. Like that was the most ridiculous thing I ever been a part of, man. So I definitely would say that game, a lot of drama, a lot of back and forth, Kevin Winslow crazy stuff was in that game. Like, there's so many players, man. There's so many players. So, for me, that was it.
All right, George, what about you?
So, mine's a two-parter. So, I was on the bandwagon whenever USC was like the top dogs with Leinart and Reggie Bush. So whenever they played Texas in the national championship, that was like one of those games that I was screaming at the TV because I was so mad that I'm like, I mean, it was like just watching, I don't know, Goliath like getting finally taken down, and it's like, what the hell? But I guess the other one that I that always like circulates in my head was the Iron Bowl with the kick six. That game was nuts, absolutely nuts. Again, I forget how many years. Again, that was right in the rise of like Bama's dynasty's beginning, and everybody just was tired of seeing them in the national championship like spotlight. And it was like one of the first years Auburn started getting real good again after Cam left. And just like the nuts on Saban to try to just, I'm going to try to kick the ball and we'll see what happens instead of trying to take a knee, especially for how cerebral of a coach he is, to like be like, I'm just going to kick it and we'll see what happens. Also, not to have like a kick cover team, field goal team out on the field and having fat boys out there, and him kicking it, coming up short, and like it was just absolutely nuts. Like 6 dudes got laid out. It was like the greatest moment ever. Watching
Chris
dudes
Davis,
get
right?
laid out. Yeah. Watching dudes get laid out and then him having just a chauffeur into the end zone and the dog pile in the end zone. I want to say that was one of the best games, mainly just for the ending, but again, the whole game was nuts.
All right. I'm with George because I got a two-parter as well. The first one is 91, going back to 91, the Cotton Bowl, Texas versus Miami. Now, the reason
love this game,
bro, you
right off the kick.
See, you have to understand something. When you got a family member that's literally on national TV every weekend, that does something for you. Like that's a big inspiration. Yes, I had a family member that played at Miami. He was actually him and Daryl Spencer are good friends. So, when the Cotton Bowl came around, I was, looking like, man, they should be playing in the national championship, but whatever. I'm gonna watch this game anyway. And you see the opening kickoff, somebody dies right on the field just because somebody come down there like I'm about to knock out somebody in the game, and they do it, and then to watch the game unfold the way it did, like Texas was picked to win this game by blowout and end up getting beat on the whole game. Like they were not ready for that speed. They were not ready for that defense. It was just crazy to watch it. And then to see the ending score where Texas is supposedly best team in the country and you get 40 put on you, that's bad. That's bad. My second one would drop down to Division III. It was Mount Union versus John Carroll. I believe it was either 2016 or 2017, where it ends up being a shootout, and John Carroll takes down Mount Union and ends up winning the conference. Mount Union runs the OAC. Like George, you know that. Mount Union runs the OAC. There's no way of getting around it. You might luck up and win one or two games against them throughout the course of your lifetime, but just the last game of the season and you beat them and then you win the conference and make the playoffs, you can't get no better than that. And like they hadn't lost a conference game since losing to Ohio Northern. So it was like, damn, John Carroll did it, and they right around the corner from where I live. Oh man, that whole college town lit up, and it was. I'm not gonna say it was surreal, but it was a wake up call to know that everybody not in the OAC got to see y'all can play football in this conference. It ain't just Mount Union, and just like to see, to see John Carroll's defense stall them at the last drive, that was awesome. And you can't get no better than that.
Yeah, I mean, that conference is wild. I mean, ever since I started playing there in 2006, and I mean, even before I got to Marietta, I mean, the OAC, I won't say runs D3 because, I mean, there's a lot of good Wisconsin and Minnesota teams, but year in and year out, they always have like 4 to 5 top 25 teams. And even whenever they have that good of teams, even whenever like Mount Union, Capital, and I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, John Carroll was always up there, but like they could never knock off Mount. And I mean, and just like the trivia you had, Mel, outside of like Yale, Mount Union is the most winningest football school across the NCAA. I mean, and again, it's almost like how Bama is now. They don't reload. They just have it. People drop down from different divisions to just go play there to get a ring.
Actually, yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, Josh Pack got a ring or a couple of them with Mount Union.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, hell, Pierre Garçon was supposed to be a D1 athlete. You saw
and he
how
went
well
to Mount Union.
Yeah, and again, for obvious, probably different circumstances, but I mean, he dropped down from D1, went to Mount Union, and then went from the NFL. And I mean, he had a pretty successful career.
Yeah.
All right, Ronnie, what you got for us, man?
What do you guys feel is your favorite all-time roster in college football?
Are you serious?
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not being funny when I say that, because when you said it, 8 different rosters literally popped in my head.
Bro, for me too.
Look, hey,
and guess what? The answer I'm gonna give you is like,
oh, that's my hair.
Oh, you're gonna give us a list?
No, I'm not giving you a list.
No, bro, if I gave that list, we'd be sitting here all night. Promise you. But I could think of 2 off the top of my head, but I'm gonna let y'all go first.
Cool. Now this is gonna sound crazy coming from me, and especially the conversations that me and Mel have had, because
Ronnie, before you go any further, if you say anything about Georgia, I promise you, I'm gonna learn how to use the force and slap you.
Oh no. See, you gotta remember, man. I'm an unbiased when it comes to that kind of stuff, man. So, they've had
Liar.
some good. No, for real, they've had some decent teams, but overall, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I don't have a favorite roster per se, just favorite players. But honestly, for me, it'd be like the 2008 Florida Gators, and that's hard to say because that is a rival. Okay, but the people they
Wait a minute,
had.
hold up. A priest, a murderer, and a racist, all in the same room.
With
Yep.
a head coach who got
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make
Yep.
sure I had my years right.
Yep. Because you figure, and
I wanted to make sure I had my years right.
And
So-
the Pouncey boys.
Yep, the Pouncey
Oh, yeah.
boys side by
Yeah.
side. You had Joe Hayden out there. And here's another fact for you. People forget Cam Newton was on that team.
Yeah.
When was he on that team?
Bruh, Cam Newton was the backup to Tebow, bruh.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
transferred
that's
to
right
Auburn.
before- well,
See what I'm saying? Look. Well, yeah. But, yeah.
he stole a computer, but
It's just crazy because, like,
I
this
could
Better
team
than
was
beat
so
some
loaded. The team was just so loaded with talent, man. It just wasn't fair, really, across
hey,
both
Marcus
sides of the
Gilbert.
ball.
I'm pretty sure Marcus Gilbert was the tackle that year too.
Gilbert was there. Yeah,
I mean
man.
that line was stacked.
That line was stacked. Best line I ever seen.
Yeah, that is kind of weird coming from you. So that one caught me off guard.
That's why I'm not. That's why I can't get biased, man.
All right, so we got the 08 Gators. Because I'm going to go with a team. I'm going to let y'all know. I got my team, and it's the most. But go ahead. So the 08 Gators.
I still got to go with the 02 Miami Hurricanes. I mean that
Well, he
entire
didn't finish
team.
his list yet.
Oh, Ronnie had a list. No.
Oh no,
thought
I ain't had
Mel
no
had a
list. No,
Oh, okay.
Mel got
Mel
a
had a
list.
list.
Mel got a list. He got about 10 teams he can give you.
No, Mel ain't going
Yeah.
to the damn list.
Yeah.
Mel got 10 seconds to talk. Hell no. That's it. Hell no.
You.
We got a cutoff limit.
Hey, I'm gonna start bringing a little timer.
Fucking iron.
I wasn't even gonna give a list, asshole.
But hey, I have to say the 02 Hurricanes. That entire team went to the NFL, and most of them are gonna either have gold jackets or gonna have gold jackets.
Facts.
Yeah.
I got two. I got two. I got the 2011 Bama team. And listen, y'all know who my heart is with Michigan. I'm gonna damn near go with the 2013 Ohio State, the ones that beat Alabama with Zeke,
Yeah.
Bryson.
Oh yeah, they
Miller.
was nasty.
Woo!
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Joey Bosa. Ooh,
Yeah, they was
that
nasty.
team was.
That was a bad team. I give you
That
that.
was a good Ohio State team, boy. That was
Yeah, it was.
gosh.
So
Chico.
yeah, and
George-
that's coming from a Michigan guy, because man, I'm all about. So, but Ohio State, man, like you said, you gotta be non-biased when it comes to talk about greatness.
Hey,
All
Courtney,
right,
I'm with you, man, because saying Florida in my mouth, just like I
It just don't feel right.
well, Florida and when y'all talk about Auburn, it's like Auburn too. Goodness gracious. But like,
Right.
it is what it is, man. You gotta call it what it is. So
Yeah, call a spade a spade. I get it.
yep.
I'm gonna go next. I promise you, I'm not gonna take any time on this one. But this one,
All right,
no,
start the timer.
no. You don't even need a timer with this one. This one, they correlate with each other. And this one's gonna blow Courtney's mind because I can't believe I can't believe I'm saying this, but best two rosters I've ever seen. The 95 through 98 O State Buckeyes. And in the same stretch, the 95 through 98 Michigan Wolverines.
Woo.
Bob Greasy, Tom Brady, David Terrell, Tim Bianca-Patuka,
Man.
Jackson on the Buckeyes, D. Miller, Eddie had left at that, Michael Wiley. Every one of them went to the league, and Woodson, and the crazy part about it was Ohio State recruited Woodson and didn't even take him because he wanted to play tailback and they wouldn't let him. Like, they correlate too much for you not to play. Like you look at them games and it's like one of them got to win. One of them got to win.
Yeah.
So from 95 to 98 on both sides, you cannot go wrong with those rosters. And there were at least 7 people on each team that went to the league every year, at least 7. So
all right. So since you brought that up, let's bring this question. Let's boost it up a little bit. So we talked about just the favorite college teams. Let's talk about the greatest rivalry stretch. Like, because you said 95 to 98, Michigan versus Ohio State. Let's talk about, like, you could talk about Clemson versus Bama from what, 2013 to 2017, 28, if you want to include now. You could talk about USC, Texas. You could talk, like, what y'all think is the best rivalry? Because you talked about Ohio State and Michigan, so you got to think about that.
well, you can't throw them in there because that's automatically the greatest rivalry ever. But for me, I got a rivalry that nobody talks about, but that's one of the best rivalries you could actually watch, and that's the Bayou Classic, Grambling versus Southern. Every year, it's a shootout. It is always a shootout. Damn the bands. We already know the band's gonna show out, but if you look at the actual football, Grambling versus Southern is one of the best up there, and nobody talks about it.
I got one. That's going to be better than what you just said. Army, Navy, baby. Represent,
I
baby.
was gonna go with that. I was gonna go with that. Dang, I was gonna go with that.
Baby.
Man, you cannot, bruh. You
You're
can't.
damn right.
Army. You damn right.
You know what? I'm not gonna argue with you on
That
that
game
one.
always hype. That game always.
I'm
hype.
not gonna argue with you on that one. I'm gonna just say that's an unfair choice because
Man.
it's a rivalry. Yes, Army can't stand Navy. Navy can't stand Army. Even in real life, they can't stand each other. But damn, man, like when was the last time you seen either one of them play for a chip, man? Come on.
Well, you gotta think about it. But it's because you gotta look at it. Last year, Army almost beat Michigan. Like they went to OT with them.
Yeah.
Army also almost beat Oklahoma. They went to OT with them, double OT with them. I'm just talking about because you got the actual hate factor, like you said. Like Army can't stand Navy, and then the Marine Corps is part of the Navy. So now the Marines don't like the Army, and we can't stand the Navy, but we like them for that one day. We like them. One day we can get them. That one day we can all be a part of something bigger than ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So
basically, you got to make a choice.
Fuck Army. Yeah, right. That's what it comes down to.
Well, both my parents was in the Army, so I'm always rooting for Army. I will say this. That is the only rivalry that shows the best uniforms, period.
Man,
they always show out for that one.
Yeah.
Like camo, like, man. Yeah.
So I'll
that's when they put. Oh, go ahead, George, because I know what you're about to say.
No, you don't. I'll represent for the West Coast. Oregon, Washington with the border war. Hold on. I got one more. The border war with Washington and Oregon the last couple of years has been amazing. It's going to be real interesting with Chris Peterson leaving if Washington stays up there, because usually that border war is what plays for the Pac-12 North, which is always fun because it's at the end of the year. Nobody gives a shit about the Civil War because Oregon State usually always sucks.
It's a duck and a beaver. Who cares?
Beaver. Stick with the beaver. But the other one that I still always love watching, because the hate between the teams, Utah and BYU. That game I always tune in for. The Holy War, I always tune in for that.
When white people don't like white people, it make for a hell of a show. God damn, you be like, oh shit, they about to get it.
And the other one that I'll say is, even though both teams are usually not very good, Duke versus UNC, and the other team stealing the bell and painting it after the game, that's also very intense. Those three might be, again, out of the like top tier. Those are like my favorite, just because of like we talked about, the pure hate. But then usually it represents something for one of them.
Ooh, I'm glad you
Hey,
said.
I just thought about this. Like, because Courtney said, when white people don't like white, you got to get that right, man. That's a religious war. First off, it ain't white
Yes.
people don't like white people. It's Mormons on the north side and Mormons on the south side that don't like each
Yep.
other. You got to make a choice. You either gonna sit up here in Salt Lake or you gonna sit up there in Provo. You got to pick one. It get bad out there. I was watching this Facebook video one time. There's the dude saying, "Man, I got jump. Give me a gun. Y'all gotta come with me." It's like, "Who you getting jumped by?" So Samoans. Like, "Man, what was you even doing?" He was like, "Man, I was in Carson City." And what was you even doing in Carson City? You know they don't like people over there. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, that is a good one. You know what? If people in California really thought about it, that would think that was a Crips and Bloods game. Because I just look, colors is red and blue.
Swear, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You better be careful with that game, because it can go bad real quick at the drop of a hat.
Right in LA, they play USC, UCLA, and
that's a Crips and Bloods game.
Yeah, they wear their homes that game.
Yeah, that's a Crips and Bloods game, man. I wonder if you're a Blood and you go to UCLA, are you conflicted? Like, do you think they be sitting up there like, damn, do I really want to go to this game?
Hey guys, so I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna throw it back, right? I'm gonna throw it back to 2005 by the name of some guy named Pat White. I don't know if y'all remember who he was.
Yeah, West Virginia when they were decent.
Backyard brawl when we got West Virginia versus Pitt. Let's go, baby! Woo!
The only bad part is that hasn't been good in a minute.
I was about to say
the hate is there, but like usually it.
Hey, that new Pitt
rednecks versus drunk guys. That's basically what it is. Rednecks versus drunk guys. That is not a rivalry. That is a bar fight.
Courtney, I'm glad you said that, because that was that triple overtime. Was that year?
Yeah.
No, that game was
I will say this. It was interesting, when Mo was playing, when Mo Williams was there, the days from Rod Rutherford, Mo Williams. It was interesting then, but now it's like, and not only that, you talking about at a time where they was playing in a conference that they couldn't even win. So the only reason they had that rivalry was because that was like the only thing interesting, because you knew who was going to win the conference at the end of the year. It was going to be Miami. But I see where you're going with that. Drunk guys versus hit rednecks. It makes sense. It makes sense. Come on, man. Let's be real about this. You in Pittsburgh, what you doing? You getting drunk. You go to West Virginia, what is it? Rednecks. It ain't racial. It's the truth. Have you been to West Virginia?
Y'all want to know something? So I'm driving home from DC, right? I was still in the Marine Corps, and I was coming to Pittsburgh, and there was an accident in Cumberland, so I had to go through West Virginia. Man, I'm driving, and I'm looking, and I sent my girlfriend my location. I said, babe, listen, I don't know where the fuck I'm at, but listen, I was like, I know I'm in West Virginia. Mama, take me home, because goddamn. Man.
I played in the All-American Bowl in 2010, and it was in Charleston. And I just remember my son's mother at the time, she was like, this would be a nice place to live. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Like, dude, we were staying at the hotel that's like right in the smack dab of downtown. You have to make 3 lefts just to make 1 right. Yeah, think about how that sounds.
That sounds like most Pittsburgh roads.
Yeah. So we get into Charleston Stadium. It's in the middle of a neighborhood almost, and the houses is like literally together like this. You can't do nothing. You can't sneeze without your neighbors knowing. You can't fart without your neighbors knowing, because your house is like really right next to there. Everybody parked on the street. Like, I don't know. I can't live like that, man. That's almost as bad as having the cops know you.
Mm-mm.
Like they
All
could
right,
you like if your house is like this next to your neighbors. Like think about that, man. You can't get in no argument. You can't get none the right way. You got to be quiet. Your neighbor talking about, so, hey man, I heard your bed squeaking the other night. You guys okay over there?
Bro,
Stay out my
imagine
business,
dialing
motherfucker.
911 and being stuck in between the houses. What you doing, man? Hey, you ain't gonna believe this, but I'm pinned between my house and my neighbor's house.
Right.
If y'all can send somebody over to kind of pry me out,
so
like
And
what does that even
Ronnie,
sound like?
Ronnie and George, y'all wouldn't have nothing coming living in that neighborhood, man.
Oh, bro,
I'd have
Nothing
to walk
coming.
sideways.
right?
You couldn't walk sideways, bro.
Like I ain't gonna try
Think
this.
about what I just said. To get to the stadium and get away from the hotel, you had to make 3 lefts just to make 1 right.
Mm.
So coming out of the hotel, you had to turn left because they was doing construction, just like Cleveland. Then you had to make another left at the light to get to the freeway. Then you have to get off the freeway, make another left just to get to the stadium, which is on your right hand side.
Mm.
listen. So my girlfriend's from Philly, right? So she got in the Uber. She called me. She goes, babe. She's like, you're not gonna believe what this Uber driver just said. I was like, what? She's like, so we were talking, and he asked her where she was from because she had an accent. And she's like, I'm from Philly. He was like, oh yeah, I know why people are so mad in Philly. And she was like, why? She was like, because their houses are so damn close to each other.
Right.
You know what?
Oh man.
You know what? Since we're talking about rivalries, let's take a trip down memory lane. Best high school rivalry, in your opinion? I know you got some in Pittsburgh. I know we got some
Man.
here and some in Columbus. Best one to you?
Jeanette Clareton.
Ooh.
Ain't the, isn't one of the Liatas out there coaching Clarendon, or weren't they?
Yeah.
Wasn't Sean out there coaching Clarendon at one point?
Yeah, he was
Or
their,
is he
he was
still?
their OC for a minute.
And they
He's
played
a
a fucking 100 points a game.
yeah.
Hey,
But,
gotta stop him.
but Leota, he's a head coach at Burrell now. He has his own program now. But
That's what's up.
I mean, again, it depends on what level of football you talk about out here, because again, each one has its own. But I mean, Quip versus Clareton's always a good one. But in conference, I mean, Clareton versus Jeanette is always crazy.
So
I mean,
going with. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I'm going with Penn Hills versus Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
Woo! I think I'm saying that because I'm on the coach.
Yeah.
Oh, bias ass motherfucker.
But like, there's been a bunch of dogs that came out of both those programs, especially out of Pittsburgh.
How biased? You know what? I can't even say you biased because I'm gonna say best neighborhood rivalry, Glenville Collinwood all day. I don't care how you swing it. We know we gonna get beat, but we gonna win that fight. We gonna win that game some way, somehow after it's over. But best all around football rivalry, I gotta go with McKinley Massillon. Like that game is wild every year.
Yeah. Shit, they made a
and
fucking Netflix special about it.
man, I took my lady to that stadium and I asked her, I said, would you believe me if I told you the 3rd largest football stadium in Northeast Ohio belonged to a high school? She said no. And I told her to look to her right, and we were sitting at Paul Brown Stadium because we had a game over at Perry Stadium in Massillon. So it was like, you know how good you got to be to sit 16,000 people in a stadium to see kids?
Man.
And then on top of that, they bet on your game in Vegas.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only high school game to get bet on in Vegas every year. How do you swing? I want to see the books on that one. I want to know what kind of money is coming out of that game. I take a bet on that one.
Some
A
dirty
parent
ass
getting
money.
their ass whooped. That's all I'm saying. Let your child play bad. They gonna fuck your child up.
And you won't hear about it. You won't hear about it for the rest of your life
For the
too.
whole year.
Unfortunately, that is true because it's dudes that was still what was that? Go Tigers, the documentary that they filmed. It was dudes
Yeah.
that was still there. They couldn't talk about how they lost to McKinley. Now they pretty much their life is just fell apart,
Over.
and then they interviewed Chris Spielman, and Chris Spielman was like, "Yeah, I'm one of the best." And I told my dad I was going to Michigan, and he said, "No, you're going to Ohio State." Do you know what kind of football program you got to have for your dad to tell you where you going?
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go to Ohio State then. I don't want to die for this. And y'all better beat McKinley this weekend. Yeah, we got you, Dad. I got you.
You know, Mel, when you talk about
Like, you know, it's funny.
neighborhood,
Like, I sit there and I think about it, and you know how crucial black fathers are in the black homes. But
Oh
damn,
my God.
then they become like,
Yeah.
it's like they either ain't there or they whooping your ass. It's like, God damn. It's like my brother.
Bruh.
There's some compassion. Like, I was watching the Snoop Dogg thing with his son, and his son played like a scrub, and Snoop was like, "No, you weak as hell." He's like, "Don't bring that shit over here." He's like, "You better go to your mom." And I'm like, "God damn, like, nigga, you drop a pass, and I mean, you can't talk to me." Like,
I'm glad that wasn't Friday Night Tights, man. I seen that shit, Coach Snoop on Netflix, man. He is ruthless.
he
He
got
could
Oh,
never
man.
be my coach, man. Me and him, I had to kick him in his bony ass knees. Like, bruh, you ain't finna keep talking about me like this. You ain't finna keep talking about me like this. And they record. You say this shit to me when they cut the cameras off.
Oh, man.
Bro, they could not have that series on TV nowadays. Karens
Oh,
would
man.
freak out across the world. Like it was okay like 5 years ago when Karen was kind of quiet, but now Karen don't keep her shit like don't be quiet.
Man,
Now they'd be losing their mind.
Dude, they knocked Marshawn Lynch in a video because he told one of the kids get the fuck off his field, and he was trying to explain to Karen why he told him that, and I'm like, I understand it. Like he told the kid wasn't doing nothing. I would tell him get the fuck off the field too. Shit, you can't be mad at him for that. He a grown man. That nigga's a multi-millionaire. Your kid, you paying for your kid to play on the team or to go to the camp. Like, come on, man. Well, you know what? I would say that was the best rivalry I've seen, but for me, it's always going back home. I got to go with the neighborhood rivalry.
You know, speaking about
Ronnie, what
neighborhood
about you?
rivalries, it's funny you mention neighborhoods because, like, you know, me playing at Collinwood, that was definitely a great rivalry. But I grew up, you know, near downtown, so for me, it was Ignatius and St. Ed's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I was just across the bridge off of Carnegie, man. So Ignatius was like my like neighborhood. So, but yeah, man, seeing them go at it, and then like, you know, when Gonzalez was there for a little bit playing, and then I grew up. I was a lot younger actually than Charles Bentley. He was there too, or whatever. But it was just cool to be able to see those guys go at it. That game was always hype too.
yeah. I give those to you because them are big rivalries because you usually, if you're lucky, you get to see them play more than once in a season.
True.
And especially during playoff time. So it's like, yeah, I can see that. But just that's not fair, man, because it's so much into that rivalry. Like they don't even treat the kids, the stadiums they playing at right. That's what I get mad about. How you kick the team that's letting you play at their shit off their shit just because your game is bigger than theirs? That's unfair, man. It's a great rivalry. It's just I wish they treat the other schools a little bit better, but it's all about money. We know that.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Like I remember when Zwick was at Massillon, and you know Anthony Gonzalez was playing with Ignatius, and they had that game in the playoffs at the Rubber Bowl. Bro, that game was live. I felt like I was at a college game, man. Not just because I was in a college stadium, but the way them boys was playing each other, I was like, "This is the closest to college I'm gonna see you, man."
Hey man, don't ever mention the Rubber Bowl again, man. My feet start hurting all over again when you said that. That passing tournament we went to, man, my feet was on fire. I hated that shit.
Yeah, they have
No,
some.
please don't. We're not gonna talk about that no more.
Yeah, you know.
Now,
All
okay.
right.
Before
Is it your
before you
question
get into
now,
this,
or is it George's questions?
well, no, I was just gonna say, with all this going on, has anybody been back to their school lately? Like between this group right here, has anybody, been back to your high school to see how they doing and just talk to the youth?
So I got.
Shit.
I say
Courtney-
talk to the youth, not
Court-
call them little assholes.
That's basically why Courtney's banned from his high school.
No. Listen.
You're banned from the high
listen.
school?
That's messed up.
What did you do? No.
No.
I want to hear this story. Shut up. I want to hear this story. I want to hear this story.
So as everybody knows,
clear your thought. I want to hear this.
George was my coach, right? George was on a staff, Coach Wiley's football staff, and so he's been my coach for all my years of high school. Well, he left at the end of my freshman year. They left to go to a school where they thought the head coach was going to get a teaching job. So he left us, right? Come to find out, it was shitty. It didn't come back. So he came back my junior year, right? So junior year they stayed. And then 2017 was their best year when we played against Lamont Wade, lost to Clarendon in the third round of the playoffs. And
Semifinals.
Well, semifinals, yeah, the playoffs. So then after that year, they chose Georgia's coaching staff chose to stay one more year, and then they left. Well, when they left, they got called traitors, they got called pieces of shit, they got called all types of bullshit. Me, I went to the Marine Corps. So when I would come back, who do you think I'm gonna show loyalty to when it comes to the football staff? My alma mater or my coaching staff who coached me here? So I chose to go with my football staff. So we played them and we beat them. We're beating them at halftime. And I go over to the sidelines to see everybody say what's up. They're calling me traitors. They're calling me pieces of shit. They're saying that I turned their back on the school.
Dang.
So after the game, listen, and this is the part. So listen, so after the game, I go to shake everybody's hands. I'm like, hey man, I see my boy Boone, their best player on their football team. He gives me a hug, like, hey man, I miss you guys. Because I seen them when they were freshmen. They were freshmen when I was leaving. So I was like, yeah, I see them. Motherfuckers ain't shaking my hand. So I'm like, damn, the head coach ain't shake my hand. None of the coaches shook my hand. So after the game, we were about to go get beer. I was trying to go home because my girlfriend was like, I was only home for the weekend, so I had to go to see my girlfriend. Man, my girlfriend was late, so I had time to sit there and bullshit. I chose to go live and make a video, and I was so excited because we won. I may or may not have called out the whole school, the school board, the athletic director, coaches, and players that the kids couldn't hold my jock strap if they padded up with me. So I may or may not. So it's Georgia's fault. Needless to say, it's Georgia's fault that I'm not liked at my school. So no, I have not been back, and I don't know.
No,
if I can
bro,
come back.
that's not George's fault. That's your fault.
No, that's
I can see that now. I can see that phone call now. George calling you, dude. What the fuck did you say? I didn't say nothing, man. They just banned you from the school. What did you say? I mean, I might have said fuck the school board, fuck the coaching staff. I might have said something like that. I don't think I really said that, but it might have sounded like I said that. Only because I was hyped that we won. Bro, listen. I was hyped that we won, right? So I might have just went on live and said fuck everybody in the club, and then I didn't think about I was gonna have to walk back to my car. That's basically what that sounds like in my head. Fuck everybody. Fuck how y'all feel. And
the worst part
we won.
Is one of the salty ass parents tried saying that Courtney was claiming that he was a part of the staff that I was on. So I'm not going to name schools, but Courtney's alma mater.
I think Courtney already named every school.
Courtney alma mater.
By the way.
So Northgate's AD calls the school that I was coaching at's AD saying, "Hey, bro, one of your staff members is saying I'm not shit. The school board's not shit." Like calling little kids out. Like, you need to handle this shit. Bro, I'm going to work at like 6 o'clock in the morning, getting a call from my head coach going, "What the fuck is happening?" And I said, "I don't know, man. I just woke up. What happened?" He goes, "Go look at Courtney's page." And I go, "Oh, shit." And, well, needless to say,
You know what's
Courtney's no
another
longer
good
allowed on
rivalry?
campus anymore.
How the fuck do you get banned from your? You know what? I ain't even gonna say nothing.
Well, I don't think I'm bad. So that's the thing. Like, I still love the
Bro,
school. It's
if
not the
security
school.
stops you before you walk in, you're banned.
No, they wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm able to go back. I can go to dance recitals or like concerts. I just don't think if there's a football game.
It's not football games.
Mm-mm.
That's being banned. Like, what good is you going to a? I mean, come on, let's be real about this. In high school, it's not even about basketball, baseball, and none of that. It's
Right.
about football. You can't go to a football game. You are exiled. They just cut you all the way off.
Well, no, but my thing is, it's not that I hate the play. It's not the kids.
Oh,
It wasn't the kids, and I said that. I took it personal because there was kids who I played with when they were from. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they turned like I was like, damn, I can't even get a handshake. So I took it personal, and it's just the coaching staff. The coaching staff stuff. I still love Northgate football, do or die. As soon as they fire that coach, that coach has not won a single motherfucking game. He listen. He is like Hugh Jackson.
He
Says the
said,
right shit. And I may or may not have said he had a scandal with the school board lady. That's what really got me kicked. That's what really got it in trouble. But I apologize. I came out and made a public statement.
"You had to. You had to. You think you was gonna get away with that, bro? You just said, fuck the school board, fuck this coaching staff. These kids can't hold my ball sack. Fuck all you, and we kicked your ass." What did you think was gonna happen, bro? What did you think was going? Did you think you was literally gonna walk away from that? No, you was not gonna walk away. When you first started the story, I knew something bad was coming out of this, and it just so happened to be you got banned from all football activity. How the fuck does that happen?
Well, I told people my 10-year plan is to become the head coach of that football team. So,
If they let you back, they might have to vote you in.
well, hopefully they're gone. That's the point. Hopefully all the motherfuckers are gone. Wait, that sounds like I'm about to kill him. No.
Yeah, you know,
man.
my 10-year plan is to fuck everybody up. That's I'm trying to be the coach. That's if everybody gone. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus Christ.
I hope none of them are watching right now because you are not making a good case for
All
yourself.
bad.
Very bad. Very bad. Very bad. Like, man.
Oh God.
This you know what this sound like? This sound like the episode of Kenan and Kel where Kenan found the screw in his tuna and Kel finally confessed in the courtroom. That's what this sound like. What could you say that'll get you off their bad terms? Like, bruh, you literally just that wasn't a Facebook Live video. It couldn't have been. So you had to just.
It was.
It was.
Listen, but
It's Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
So here's the worst part, right? So
This was last year.
This is last year, like 2019.
Oh, bro, you ain't going back for another
5-6 years ago. This
Right,
is recent.
right.
This is recent.
But listen, so like the hard part was like, so I make the live video and I didn't call, like I was like, so like I was mad and just frustrated. People were commenting and were like, no, we understand. Like, we know you love the football team. Cause like I went over there to speak to the football team. Like it wasn't personal. Like I was excited to play them. Well, after the live video, people were texting me like, oh, nah, this person's doing this. They're saying this about you. So I had to make a post the next day and start tagging people. Like,
man.
well, yeah, no. I was
Oh,
still
no.
mad. Like,
That's right, you did.
No. Friday was the fuck you. Saturday was the this is what I really meant. And Sunday and Monday was the I'm gonna get my apology together. That's
no,
what that
Saturday
was.
was still fuck everybody times 2 because then the players were commenting and was like, "Oh, you didn't even play because you kept missing games because you wasn't smart enough." Like the kids is saying shit. So now I'm about to. So listen. So now it's personal. So now it's personal. And then I'm like, yeah, well, that's why you're only a captain because your mom sucked dick of the coach. And then, so it was a, I'm telling you. So then after that, I was like, all right, man, hold on, let me chill. Like, I need to stop. So this is how it happened. So then Monday comes and I get a call from Jordan. He's like, hey, bro, like you got to delete all this because I still had it up because I was still mad. It was like, this is my alma mater. And like, I was a star for this team. Like, I brought this school. You know what I'm saying? Like, my years, we won. And that's what I said in the video. I was like, well,
okay, Jason Pitts, I bought this team a championship.
No, well, I didn't even bring him a championship. That's the thing. So, like, we just won games, right? So, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, when y'all, I was like, first of all, don't come at me if you're not a starter. I was like, but wait, don't even come at me if you won a game. Or, like, don't even come at me if you know what it's like to score a touchdown. Because they was getting cheated. Like, it was eggshells for most of the season. Like, they weren't even scoring. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, people would put their JV team. But I was sitting there and I'm like, man, I was so mad because I'm like, it's not the school. I love the school. I love the course program. I love the kids. I love the gifted program. I love everything about
No, you love them now.
No, it's always been love. Just Friday and Saturday night of September 29th and 30th, there was no love lost. There was no love lost. Or October 29th and 30th, there was no love lost. But now, I'm good. I'm going to be the head coach.
Bruh. Yeah, assuming no, I wasn't even gonna say that. I was gonna say assuming, you know, that apology video or statement that you made goes over because like clearly that fuck all video was just like
it was worse than
like,
Who Shot You by Biggie.
Man, like Ronnie George, like hearing this story, I'm just like, all right, it sound good, you know. Look, they not respecting you. That's normal. You had me thinking that this was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. You didn't say when you started this story that it was last year. So now I'm thinking maybe coaching at that school might not be a good idea for you because you might be on borrowed time. Like they might be out looking for you. Like you might have a serious hit coming for you because like you made a whole fuck you video. I've made a couple fuck you videos before. I've made a couple fuck you posts. You know, I've never really, you know, said how I felt. I just said fuck the issue. You said fuck everybody. Now you got little kids mad at you. You got the school board mad at you. You got teachers mad at you. Man,
school board members.
It wasn't.
You better hope Karen don't see that. Don't find that video.
It wasn't to the teach. It wasn't to the teachers. It wasn't to like the students who didn't play football. It wasn't to anybody.
It wasn't to any. It wasn't to anybody, but everybody took it that way.
Exactly.
I promise you. I promise you. Man, we gonna look. I'm gonna switch the subject because I'm feeling bad for you, man. I might have to. I might have to call some friends and
the more we talk
PAs.
about it, we're gonna find out.
To the original question, no, I haven't been back to my school since probably my since like my freshman year of college on like fall break. Other than that, I've been either playing or coaching.
Like they were gonna close our school, but they held it open for. I think they got another year, and they're trying to figure out what to do.
One more year.
Yeah, because it's a low enrollment, you know, and the sucky part about it is it's a good school. You know, we had a lot of good memories there. A lot of dumb shit happened. A lot of shit we shouldn't have did that we got away with. You know, But with them building Ginn Academy like literally right down the street, it kind of hurt.
Oh, that don't help.
Yeah, because you and don't get me wrong, I love Coach Ginn. I love the program over at Glenville because they do a lot of good things. But I just think that particular thing hurt the Collinwood area because now they don't have nothing. The football team got low numbers. The boys track team ain't what it used to be. The basketball team got 5 kids. The water boy got to play coach and center. It just hurt.
That sounds like Northgate.
I mean, it's funny to an extent, but when you go over there, you see, we got our field right. We, what I'm saying, we got our field when we were supposed to have that field back in 1990. It was just like it's just a lot that I think could have been done differently.
Hey, funny story. We didn't talk about it before. I don't think we ever did a show about Ted Ginn. Me and you just chopped it up about him in some posts that were happening online. But before that happened,
don't get me started on that, man.
So again, the head coach I coached for, and that coach Courtney, he always had this joke whenever people would talk about Ted Ginn and everything like that. He goes, "Man, I was at a camp one time, and I actually got MVP of the pass camp while Ted Ginn was there." And everybody would like question him. He's like, "Man, are you serious?" Needless to say, it was when Ted Ginn was like 5 years old.
I was about to say, I know he ain't catch him in high school.
No, it was whenever because my coach is he's 40. So Ted Ginn, I guess, is around my age, or all of our age, except for Courtney. So
yeah, bro, like that could be that had to be the only way. Yeah,
no, that's the joke he always says. And the first time I ever heard it, I started dying.
Yeah, I had to ask that dude, like, because he was like, Ted Ginn's a bum.
He was simple.
How? Like, you got a dude that's been in the league. You got a dude been in the league for 15 years. How is he a bum? The average lifespan of an NFL player is 3 to 5 years. This dude got 15. He got his jersey from Miami in the Hall of Fame. He got 15,000 yards all purpose. How? It played in 2 Super Bowls. How do you constitute that to be a bum? Do you know how hard it is to win a championship? And you got the 2? Like, come on, man.
I think I think it's so crazy how people like, and we get caught up in it where we're like, we want to be so right on the sports debate. We're like, this dude's trash. And I was like, bro, listen, take the fucking practice squad dude on any team, on the Cleveland Browns or the fucking Jaguars, anybody. They will start at any fucking Division I program. I was like, people take it so disrespectful to these NFL athletes, like, or any major league athlete, any sports athletes on a professional level, high level. Like, it's so disrespectful. Like, how's Ted Ginn a bum? Because he doesn't produce as much because he's older? He's still a threat. If you look at him right now, he still is making millions. He just got signed this year. Like, he is still a threat. People still want him because, okay, he doesn't run his 4.3 anymore. Now he runs awfully a 4.45. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, yeah, he's lost a lot of speed. Motherfucker, when's the last time you seen somebody run a sub 4.5?
Never. Not often. I ain't going to say never. Not often.
Jordan Whitehead's the only kid I've ever seen personally. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers safety. He played for Central Valley in Pittsburgh. Listen, we're at a 7-on-7. I was a Mike backer. I took my step. I go to open up to get my zone. This motherfucker had caught the ball and was already down the field. And I didn't even have a chance to look to find where this motherfucker was at.
Now, here's my question on that. Did you make a Facebook Live and say, fuck him too?
Oh, man.
I just have to ask, man. You on the roll with this fucking everybody video, man. You gotta ask these things, man.
Oh,
you gotta ask these things, man. You know, fuck him and fuck you. Gotta ask, man. You gotta ask.
Hey guys, we have a actually decent question. We've touched on this before with a couple of our guests. So with the college playoff landscape currently right now, do we think each conference, including the Power Five and Group of Five, should all get a bid out of their champions into the playoff?
No.
Yes.
Hell no. To the no,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Go ahead, man. I'm gonna
Because
let you go first.
no, yeah, you have to think about this. Yes, because within the next, I would say 3 to 5 years, this is going to expand to an 18 playoff. There's 5 power conferences. So you already know whoever wins that conference they got to get that bid. You know why? Because that's where the money is, first off. Secondly, it creates better matchups. You go to an 18 playoff, Michigan, Michigan, this is for the sake of argument, Michigan wins the Big Ten.
Hell yeah.
Florida State wins the ACC. Alabama wins the SEC. Texas wins the Big 12. USC wins the Pac-12. That's 5 Power 5 conference champions right there. Then you got the next 3 best conferences being Conference USA, the American Conference, and maybe dare I say the WAC, MAC, WAC, whichever one. So they're your 18 playoffs right there. Now we all know it's been shown a Group of 5 conference can beat a Power 5 conference. Probably wouldn't happen in the playoffs because you got a lot of time to prepare, but it still creates an interesting matchup. So yeah, I do think within the next 3 to 5 years, once they go to an 18 playoff, those Power 5 conferences will get a bid automatically. It doesn't make sense for them not to have one.
Here, Court, before you answer too, do you think at all possible we ever have like a play-in round, kind of like how we have for March Madness, for maybe the Group of 5 to get a at-large bid or a auto bid? Nah. All right, Court, go ahead.
Hey, Ronnie, you want to go first before I go? Because I'm about to whoop Mel's ass. This is about to be the biggest ass whoop. Hey, so you
good luck with that.
You good, man.
Whooping out? All right, so listen, right? The
Here
question.
comes the "fuck you" live post.
Right. This is fuck Mel. this is called fuck Mel.
This is never going to be lived down, Courtney. This is going to be an ongoing thing. It's going to be hysterical.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna bring this up every show. I'm bringing this up every show. I might even use my Facebook Live just to say "fuck you," and this is the response to whatever you about to say.
All right, so listen. So last year, right? So we look at last year, this past round that just happened. We had the number 4, which is Oklahoma, who was a joke. We had Baylor, who was a joke. We had Oregon, who should have, had they not lost to Arizona State the last week, probably should have been that 4th team.
Yep.
But after that, so you look at it, was Baylor or Oklahoma taken seriously? No. Was anybody coming out of USC's the Pac-12 going to get taken seriously? No.
Actually, before you go any further, if you want to be technical, if Utah don't fuck up against Oregon, they actually become that 4th team. Because if you think about it, Utah had been undefeated had one loss up until they lost in the championship to Oregon. So
Oregon got in that ass. So
yeah, they did.
But again,
that was rape.
But listen, but that's not the point. So that's what I'm saying. So listen, so like you have it, right? So the SEC, right? You got either Georgia or LSU this year, Bama still a factor, Auburn, Florida. I mean, they're loaded, right? You got Michigan, you got Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin. Then
man, you think ACC, Wisconsin or Penn State gonna win the Big Ten? You smoking crack.
No, but Penn State, I'm talking about 3 years ago, Penn State was a factor where they could have won. But what I'm saying is then you go to the ACC, you got Clemson, one team. Then you go to what? The Big 12? Who gives a fuck? Like, you go to the Pac-12. Who gives a fuck? Like, so no, I feel like you should literally have it because Bama has proved it. Even if Bama does not win a championship, you put them in the playoffs as the 4, they're actually going to be a threat to win. You're not going to take fucking Utah serious to beat Clemson, Ohio State, or anybody else. So no, I don't feel like every team deserves it because at the
Yeah,
end of the
but
day, UCF would have fucking made it that year that they went undefeated and got their ass waxed. They would have got their
yeah,
ass
but you
lit up.
also got to remember when the committee actually voted on this, Bama was the next best team, like literally the next best team. So okay, you
Which
give
shows that you should not automatically get a bid because Bama, if Tua did not get hurt, Bama would have still got in with 2 losses and still got in the college football playoff because they know that you can't put Oregon up against Ohio State. You can't put Oregon up against Clemson. You damn sure can't put Oregon up against LSU. Not that anybody would have made LSU look and nobody was beating LSU. So
I mean, Bama
just
was
don't feel
not
like
getting in with 2 losses. I don't care. My thing with this is, yes, it's already been decided because when you look at, since you're a numbers guy, when you look at the numbers, who creates the better matchup? Power 5 conference. Who creates the better money draw? Power 5 conference. The other group of 5 conferences gonna make a better, interesting matchup. But I promise you, all them teams gonna get an automatic bid because that's the way they're gonna vote it, and that's gonna show you.
Hold on. So you're saying, let's look at the numbers. It's easy to say Power 5. No, let's break it down. Who brings the most money? SEC, Big Ten, Clemson. Let's say that. Let's actually be real. Who brings in the most money? Who's gonna win you games? The SEC, the Big Ten, and Clemson. Maybe, hopefully, Oregon shows up at some point. You can go with Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma these last couple of years because he had back-to-back Heisman winners. But other than that, these Power 5 conferences are like, okay, cool. We're talking about the playoffs. We're not talking about who's going to bring you money because Alabama's playing fucking Alabama State and you get to see Big Tubbo on a fucking, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about playoffs. When it comes to playoffs, you ain't worried about fucking Notre Dame coming into the Power 5 and beating everybody. You're not worried about the Army or the Navy coming into the Power 5 and going against Bama. Would it be a good game? Probably, because you got military dudes who are going to be ready to go against anybody, and they got a triple option that is hard as fuck to prepare for. But not because they actually bring a threat. And that's where I just feel like, man, it's not. We need to stop being like, oh, well, does everybody deserve because they're conference champion? You just talked about how in 1991, Miami should have been in the bowl game. Should have. They should have,
but that was
national championship game.
But that was also when Miami was independent and they didn't join the Big East until 1993. And on top of that, they had an independent schedule. So that comparing that team to now, it's kind of like apples and oranges in this situation. And I'm saying this because when you look at the landscape and the way college football has played out, it's been a trend, and that trend is there's always going to be one conference that leads the whole nation in going into championship games. The last 10 years, it was, well, I'll start from there. From the time we were born up until they decided to come up with the BCS, it was Miami, barely a couple teams in the SEC. First team to win the BCS came from the ACC. It was Florida State. Last team to win the BCS trophy, it was Florida State. That was the ACC. So there's your trend right there. The second trend, which team is going to make it the most? In the BCS era, Ohio State made the most bowl games in the BCS era. Then they made the most playoffs. They lead that right now, being in the playoffs the most. So when they're deciding to go to a 16, 18, I really think it's going to be 8 teams just so they can shut everybody up. Yeah. I really think those conference championships are going to mean more because you get an automatic bid. So when it comes down to
out of the Power 5.
Yeah, especially out of the Power 5 because that's going to mean it's going to be better dogfights in the season. Like LSU ain't going. I promise you, you can quote me on this if you want to, but whenever this goes to an 18 playoff, there will not, if any time, there may or may not be an undefeated team in the playoff when it goes to 8 teams. I promise you. One of them teams going to have 1 or 2 losses because the season for them is going to be that much harder. So when it comes to the Power 5, yes, it will be an automatic bid. Group of 5, y'all gonna have to fight it out.
But then like you said, yeah, you can look at LSU, Bama, Auburn, Florida, because they're going to have to play Georgia at some point. They're going to have to play each other, right? So they might have losses. But when you look at Clemson, is Clemson going to have to worry about anybody coming out the ACC? Maybe.
You know, Clemson ain't gonna stay like this forever, man. Let's just be real. Ohio State ain't staying like this forever. Michigan didn't stay like this forever.
No, but Michigan picked the wrong head coach. That's why Michigan
couple
fell
times.
off. Twice, back to back to back, from fucking Rich Rod to fucking whoever else after him to fucking John Harbaugh. But you look at Ohio State. You can look at these guys and be like, damn. Like, same with Mountain Union. When you look at Bama, why is Bama the number one? Because they are fucking loaded. They just have guys who wants to come in. And as long as Nick Saban's there and he picks the right protege to follow him.
I don't know the second they paying Nick Saban $9 million the fucking year to pick kids.
Right.
If you pay me $9 million, I bring the best motherfuckers in too.
You look at Florida when Urban Meyer left. He left unexpectedly. So Florida didn't have a backup plan, so they fell off. You looked at Ohio State when Urban Meyer left the second time. He had already groomed Ryan Day, and now that's why still to this day, Ohio State still has the number 2 recruiting class prepared. And Ryan's staff, he took Michigan, a couple of them, to build his defense and built them to bring them up. So then you look at these guys, they're not going anywhere anytime soon unless there's a scandal that comes out that blows everything up. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, again, when we bring the SEC is dog fights, you got Michigan, Ohio State, maybe Penn State, maybe Wisconsin battling each other. But everybody knows you only got to, at the worst, Michigan and Ohio State take a loss, one, and then Wisconsin maybe takes a loss, and that's it. They're still, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just feel like eight teams will be good, but you don't automatically deserve a bid because you win your conference.
Power 5, I think you automatically get a bid, and then you have the best next 3 filling in the rest of the 8. I still think out of the Power 5, if you win your conference, regardless how we look at it, even with like the ACC right now being down and Clemson rolling through the ACC, I mean, let's be honest, Clemson did have their speed bumps. I mean, what was it, 2 years ago, lowly old Pitt beat Clemson, and then Clemson won the national championship. I mean, wilder
last
shit
year they
happened.
almost lost. They almost lost to North Carolina.
Yeah. So, I mean, wilder shit has happened, but I still think if they expand it, I'll say past 5, which you almost have to make it some kind of a normal bracket system. I still believe that Power 5 gets auto bids, and then you have at-larges after that.
Because even in basketball, they get automatic bids for winning the tournament. So why would this be any different?
I still think that they need to get rid of, and I was going to bring this up too, and we'll kind of finish on the playoff system. But I still think that they need to get rid of the independent conference, as it were. You won't.
And here it's, you know why. I know why. Everybody knows why. It's too much money in the TV deals. Notre Dame been with NBC for almost 100 fucking years. They are not giving up that money. They boot every other sport off of TV unless it's golf for Notre Dame football. There is no way you are pissed off every Catholic in America. You make you literally will piss off every Catholic in America. You make Notre Dame join the conference. You know why? Because now they gotta wait for their game to come on instead of being at 3:00. They know NBC gonna have it.
That's true because they already had to put up with the fact they had to accept a black mascot. So
they was pissed off about the black leprechaun. How you get mad about that?
How you get a black leprechaun? You know what I'm saying? But hey, that TV contract, nope.
You ain't give you a pit, man. Every Catholic, the Pope would write you a letter and visit you if you make Notre Dame join the conference.
Not the Pope.
The Pope.
Hey,
because think about it. Because real quick. Think about it. I'm serious. Think about it though. Notre Dame is in a conference in every other sport but football. Why do you think that is? It's that TV deal. Now, if you make, let's just say for the sake of argument, you make Notre Dame. I get it. It was funny to me too. But think about it. If you make Notre Dame join, because if I'm not mistaken, they're in the Big East or the Big East in basketball, but they're in a different conference in every other sport. If they were to join the Big Ten, yeah. So if you make Notre Dame join the Big Ten in football, they got to share all that TV money. When they got $100 million contract with NBC every year, they renew it. And let's be honest, Notre Dame football ain't been really something to watch since Lou Holtz was coaching. And
I think that's underrated. No,
there's been a couple seasons, but
a couple seasons. But let's be real. When you was watching them play Miami every year or every other year, them games was worth watching.
Yeah.
So now,
well, that's my only thing with the independent schedule, because even though they schedule decent teams, I feel like they run away from a bunch of people.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
Because it's easy.
Hey, good show, man.
Are you? Yeah. But it's easy. But it's easy for them to do that because of the TV contract.
Yeah.
Why do you think these games get scheduled years ahead of time? We don't know what we're gonna look like, but we're gonna schedule, Kent State and bust their ass. I would do that too. If I had $100 million TV contract, I would do it too because it's easy.
Speaking of which, that also frees up Michigan, because Michigan plays Notre Dame on NBC too.
Right. They don't play that game on no other channel but NBC.
Yeah, that's true.
And they play. And guess what? When Notre Dame played Ohio State for that year, home and home back in '95 and '96, where was that first game when they went to Notre Dame? NBC. When Ohio State and they had to come to Columbus, it was on ABC. You know why? Because Ohio State, and just like every other team back then, had ABC's contract. So if you got ABC's contract, you will be on ABC. If Notre Dame got that contract with NBC, nothing but Catholics, guess where your game gonna be showed? NBC. Right. So if you make any outside of Notre Dame, I can see where you're going with that, because there are some teams that need to join the conference just to get some credibility and get some more money to boost the program.
I mean, the only ones that I could honestly say that
WKU
deserve a independent schedule would be the military academies, just because they have kind of strict roster, again, they kind of get screwed on their roster requirements because of what the academy requires. I mean,
you basically joined in the service.
Yeah, I mean, shit, when their biggest lineman's 250 pounds, they're just out fucking weighed.
Yeah, it's a done deal. Let me look that up real quick.
What the biggest offensive lineman is for Army?
No, I'm actually looking up the independents.
Oh, there's like a bunch of weird teams there from whenever they brought teams up from the FCS. Like,
okay, so as of right now, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 independents. Army's 1, BYU's 1, Connecticut, Liberty, because they just got up to D1, UMass, New Mexico State, and Notre Dame. The only ones that really need to join a conference out of this group, because if I'm not mistaken, Navy's in a conference. I think they're in
the American.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Connecticut used to be.
So, but they left because they kept getting beat on. So they trying to rebuild that program.
And they wouldn't let
BYU
on the D2.
I think BYU needs to follow
Pac.
I think BYU needs to follow Utah and go to the Pac-12. I think UMass, because they were in the MAC, if I'm not mistaken.
Even if they went to the Mountain West, BYU, they'd still be okay. But I still think that they could compete in the south of the MAC, or in the south for the Pac-12.
Of course, if Utah can do it, I know they can do it. Yeah. So, and then New Mexico State should go back to the Sun Belt.
Mm-hmm.
And then Liberty, like I said, Liberty just got up to D1, so they're still trying to get that together. And they hold their own. So if anything, I think if Liberty were to join a first conference, I think it should be the MAC, just because they got a better chance before they want to jump up to like the ACC, which would be the closest conference to them travel wise.
And remember,
So
they also played a bunch of MAC teams too before they
right,
jumped up. Like
right, just
they
like
played Toledo like every year.
and UMass just left the MAC because they kept getting beat on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I get what Courtney's saying, but he got to look at the reality, and the reality is you're asking too much of the committee when they're actually gonna use the one time I think they're gonna use logic. Power 5 automatically gets in, you win your conference championship. Group of 5, y'all on your own. That's basically where I see it going, because one is the money, two is the matchups. You know, you're not gonna get. I would say if Notre Dame gets in, that'll be your best matchup outside of the group of 5 or the Power 5, because it's a historic program. Other than that, whoever makes those last 2 spots is really not gonna be, it's really not gonna be something that they're ready for unless it's somebody like Boise State.
Especially
I can see Boise State getting in. Yeah, because you don't really have a lot after that. Like that's when Hawaii made it to the Sugar Bowl and got beat on by Georgia. Yeah, it sounded good on paper, just because they was lighting it up on the scoreboard, throwing the ball everywhere. But when they got there, they got raped. Georgia told them.
Chang year?
No, that was the Colt Brennan year.
Yeah,
Colt Brennan.
Because Chang had just left.
That's when Colt Brennan was leading back-to-back years with most passing yards in the NCAA.
Yeah, because Chang had just left and Brennan was his successor. So yeah, it sounds good until you get there. And when Hawaii got there, they learned. Georgia was already mad because they felt like they got snubbed, and now you got to play Hawaii.
Yeah, get in there.
It ain't looking good for you, bro. It ain't looking good, and it ended up not looking good. They got stomped.
Now here's another question: do you think we need to limit the bowls that we have right now? Like I feel like they keep adding bowls, and this might be one of the first years, and I say probably maybe the last 5 years that everybody had a winning schedule going into the bowls. The last 2 years, they had teams that were sub 500 filling in the bowls because we had too many.
I don't think this goes back to when, I think this goes back to when before the BCS and the coaches in the AP poll era that everybody played everybody, and whoever survived, that was 1 and 2. I think, you keep the traditional bowls, peach, orange, rose, those bowls, and the bowls that they come up with now. I get it. I get it. You got all these sponsors. Why ain't we got a bowl named after us? We ain't got you got the Cheez-It Bowl. I think you could have came up with a better name. We know, we know you want a bowl game because you're shelling out all this money, but at the same time, you still need to understand that this is what helped these programs get their money besides the stadium ticket sales and the revenue from that, and the TV deal. They get 3, 4. I think they said Ohio State, when they went to the national championship and won back in 2014, I think they said they got like $7 million altogether.
Sounds about right.
From the playoff game and the national championship. So that was 3.5 apiece, maybe 4. So, you're building up your program. You're trying to get kids to come in. I really feel like the bowls are not the problem. I think the problem's coming in where you're not creating good matchups for these bowl games. Like you're so focused on the playoff that you forget you got 32 other games before the national championships and the playoffs start. So it's like, why don't you just, once a team becomes bowl eligible, see where they stack up in their conference, see where another team stacks up in their conference, and then you go from there, because that'll create your matchup, and that'll give you a decent bowl game, because half of these bowl games the last 2-3 years been trash.
That might be something that we might actually change my question then. we might actually want to be getting away from the typical the generic setups of MAC number 5 versus Conference A number 5. Like, we have to get rid of that. Like, outside of the New Year's Six bowls, the obviously playoffs, and then maybe like the top tier of bowls, I'll say like the 1B bowls. The next ones down, we really need to like just start looking at straight matchups. Like, I'm sorry, I even like one of the smaller SEC schools that have a winning schedule shouldn't be playing a Sun Belt, like the 6th ranked Sun Belt team. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, terrible.
Yeah, because like I said, you killing, like, bowl season starts Christmas break. So Christmas break starts about December 20th for colleges, December 20th, December 22nd. So you got from December 22nd to December 29th to come up with a good game. I don't see why you couldn't, because at that point, everybody's fighting to try to get to the championship. Either that or you know who's going to be in the conference championship. So why not just create the next best matchup? Let me see. Let's say Bowling Green wins the MAC. Okay. I like to see them play Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt would be a good test for them. You know, Boise, I like to see them play Boise State. The Boise State seem to run the Mountain West damn near every year. Let's see what they do against a MAC school. You know, you can't just keep putting up UNLV versus Colorado, and Colorado been sneaking up the joint ever since they left the Big 12, which I think is the dumbest idea they had. But what do I know?
Now, do you think schools should have to start playing away from their home turf? Like, Las Vegas or UNLV, I swear, always plays in the Las Vegas Bowl. Like, Idaho seems to always be playing in the fucking Idaho Potato Bowl. like sometimes, like, yes, that is money. Like we talked about, that is money makers for those schools because they don't have to travel. But I also feel at the same time that's kind of shit that these same teams don't have to leave home to like play bowl games.
I do think that, because every time you look at the Hawaii Bowl, Hawaii is playing in it. So
like the military bowl, I forget who it is, but it's always like Army or Navy. Like, yeah, it gets real weird.
Yeah, but I think that's just to help them out, because let's be real, you know, it ain't nothing but service academy students when Army, Navy, or Air Force has a home game, and ain't nothing but service academy students. So
they do that to protect everybody else, because let somebody get stupid and try to fight a cadet.
Hey, wait a minute, where the hell you come from?
I came from the shadows of evil.
He came from that fuck post. God, it's going to be so much fun to reference the rest of this fucking time.
Hey, man, that shit. You couldn't help but notice that something bad was coming out of that, man. You know what? But on some real shit, we all know it'll never be a 32-team playoff in D1.
No, so, I mean, as much as we can like wish and pray for it, but we know it's not.
So with the 18 playoff, I think logically they're gonna go with, all right, Power 5, first one to win the conference championship, you're in. Group of 5, you're on your own. So that gives.
I mean, I can.
And the crazy part about this is, go ahead, George.
I can, again, like we said, the only thing I can imagine is the Power 5 champions get a nod. The only thing that scares me is the next like best of 3 or like the at large bid is SEC, and then like another Big Ten school. So us ending up with like 3 SEC and like 2 Big Ten schools in the playoffs.
And I'm glad you said that, because this is going to be my final take on this. The crazy part about that is I don't think it'll be that way. And here's the factor that's going to lead to that. Notre Dame. because Notre Dame's an independent, and Notre Dame has such a big TV deal. If they don't make a playoff and they miss out on that money, the boosters, the Pope, the Vatican,
That damn Pope.
every other Catholic in America is gonna have a problem with that because they want to see Notre Dame back in glory.
Yeah,
So,
they'll probably write something in as long as like Notre Dame has like 3 wins that they'll.
but the good thing.
Losses.
But the good thing about that is Notre Dame has a two-sided coin to that because they can either get in with the Power 5 or the Group of 5 because again they're independent, so they can schedule who they want. They schedule 8 good teams out of 12 games. You schedule 8 good teams, beat up the 4 crappy ones early in the season, and then you get into the stretch of your schedule. You go 7-1, just to throw out a number. You go 7-1 in that stretch and end up being 11-1. You got a good chance to make both sides.
Now, here's the one thing that I could see positive coming also out of the 8-team expansion is it forcing teams to actually schedule good, like quality.
They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to.
Ohio State can't play all 5 of like the Ohio Group of 5 teams anymore. Like they're gonna have to add quality Power 5 out of conference teams.
And they've done that before. The only reason, I mean, you look at it. The only reason they do that is to help give that school money.
Oh, they keep.
You get you get $750,000 just for going to play Ohio State. Why would you not take it? I mean, whether you win or lose. So I think they only do that to help the money. Plus, it's traditional rivalries. But outside of that, I don't think they've done bad recently. I don't think they've done bad with scheduling. Now
you're higher than a kite.
No, they went to Virginia Tech, the Braxton Miller era. They've gone to Texas. They've gone to.
You just said Virginia Tech and go and say that's good.
Yeah, it is because, I mean, yeah, granted, Virginia Tech plays in the ACC now. I mean, yeah, Virginia Tech plays in the ACC now, but you got to understand, traditionally, this is not a matchup that you see Ohio State do. You don't see Ohio State always go to Oklahoma. They haven't been to Oklahoma since the 80s, the early 80s. And then they're going back to Oklahoma in like 5 years? Then they got home and home with Alabama. So you got Clemson scheduling the fucking Citadel. Bruh, seriously? Man, you would tell me the Citadel, you telling me the Citadel was better than Virginia Tech? Come on, man. Now I know who's really smoking. It's the fuck you guy.
No, but I'm talking about like Michigan's scheduling Army, like scheduling Notre Dame.
Armies are independent. Independent. They can schedule who they want. That's the good thing about having independent teams on your schedule. You don't know. And like I said, these games are scheduled years in advance. So you don't know what you're getting into. George, you know that.
True.
You don't know what type of team you're going to see. You scheduled this game to go 2025. You don't know. Army might beat the shit out of Michigan in 2025. But I can tell you this, you'll never see the Citadel beat Clemson.
No,
you'll never see that.
That's for new uniforms and facility upgrades.
Exactly. You'll never see the Citadel beat. You'll never see 45-0 Citadel blow out Clemson. I promise you. But I can tell you this: you've seen Virginia Tech beat Ohio State. You've seen Ohio State beat Virginia Tech. You've seen Michigan beat Army. You've seen Colorado come into Michigan back in '94 and beat Michigan. You've seen that kind of matchup. You will never see that kind of matchup if New Mexico comes out or San Diego State goes to Alabama. You'll never see them win. So they're going to have to.
Alabama State playing Alabama.
I mean, come on, man. Let's look at reality. Motherfucking Toledo scheduled Miami, and Miami had to go to the Glass Bowl one year. They had a home and home. So Miami had to go to the Glass Bowl. The Glass Bowl seat about 40,000 people. Hard Rock Stadium seats 80. Who you think made out better in that situation?
Toledo does it a lot though. So like that happened too. Like when I was there.
But my point
Larry
was
Fitzgerald and Pitt came in.
Yeah, but my point was it's gonna force everybody to step their game up because now you don't have a choice. So you might see UNLV on somebody's schedule, but it won't be a home and home. I promise you. If they go to an 18 playoff starting in what's it, 2020? So starting in 2024, just for the sake of argument, if they go to an 18 playoff, you will not see Wyoming go to Ohio State in a home and home. You will not see San Jose State go to Pittsburgh in a home and home. You know
Well,
why?
we'll say 2026 because I think unfortunately, like I honestly think games are scheduled out that far right now.
Yeah, they are. But I'm saying you will never see these
No, it's
matchups.
on-
Yeah.
You won't see these home and home matchups like that again unless it's got Notre Dame, Stanford, USC involved, or Oklahoma involved because of look, we need to look good on paper. We need to look good in this game in the power rankings. So when these rankings come out, I guarantee you, when that 18 playoff come out, you won't see these cupcake. You might see Clemson schedule the Citadel, but they won't. It'll be early on in the season. It won't be week 8, week 9.
Yeah, it's going to get down to the point where like the committee members are going to want to see actually quality wins.
Right.
And those quality wins also have like quality schedules. It's not going to be that okay. Ohio State played Akron, Toledo, Ohio University, and Miami of Ohio, and again, Michigan's playing or is going out to Oregon, is playing Oklahoma, and again is playing Pitt. I'll just say a top actual Power 5.
Right.
Like that's not going to be a thing down the road.
It can't be. It can't be because there's too much money involved, too much pressure on everybody. You gotta start looking good. Like
the only thing that's going to be nice is us as fans and essentially journalists. Again, the nice thing is going to be able to sit down and from week 1 through however many weeks the fucking college runs, being able to see quality football week in and week out.
I tell you this, when that shit happens, Lee Corso gonna have to find a new way to wear these headgears, man, 'cause he gonna be old as shit by then.
Listen, Lee Corso, they're just gonna make him a fucking robot.
Give me that head.
Yo, listen, when Lee Corso dies, college football is gonna mourn for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Speaking of this,
Dude,
so
between him and Dick Vitale on the basketball end,
Oh yeah, fuck.
that's gonna be like crazy.
do you hear? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we just don't see
Yeah.
it.
Fuck you guys.
Okay, so what'd you say?
I said we can hear you, F you guy.
Okay, porn star Mel. Anyway, so I wanted to bring this up. Have y'all noticed how last year, I think is when it really sparked with Urban Meyer going to Fox Saturday mornings? Have y'all noticed like the ESPN versus Fox little battle? Do y'all prefer one or the other? Because I'm always with ESPN College Game Day just because like that's what I'm used to. But like,
Go ahead, finish your question.
well, no, go ahead because that's pretty much.
So right now coronavirus kind of fucked it up, and I'll say ruined the momentum of it. But right now, ESPN and Fox are in a huge talent battle of analysts, and also just like fan draw. So a lot of ESPN guys are jumping ship and going to Fox, one way or for one reason or the other. But regardless, for me, like very rarely anymore do I actually get to enjoy like a full like vegging out on the couch, enjoying a Saturday of College Game Day. But nothing would ever like something catastrophic would have to happen for me to ever not watch ESPN College Game Day. But there definitely is a talent war between the two companies. Go ahead, Mel.
ESPN, and yes, there is a talent war, but ESPN, if they really wanted to, could end this war right now by picking 3 people to do Saturday games, and because that's really all it's about. Who's gonna call the games? I mean, let's be real. You could care less about the pregame shows. I mean, I love College Game Day, but I'm only watching it for one, the special guest, and two, to see who Corso picks. That's it. Nowadays, I want to know. I really watch it for Monday night and Saturdays. So here's how ESPN could win this war if they really wanted to.
Pat
On
McAfee.
Monday nights. Well, Saturday, you already know what the lineup is for the primetime game. It's Herb Street and Corso, right? Monday night, Corso, Herb Street, not Corso, Chris Fowler, Herb Street, and whoever they got on sideline. That's it. That's all they would have to do. I'd put Mike Tirico in there. That three-man booth, done deal.
But Tarico's with NBC.
Tirico's also he's also been known to freelance as well, so he could go where he wants because he's been tenured at ESPN long enough. He has an agreement
like right in on his contract.
Yeah, so he can go work for whoever he wants. That's how good he is. Now, the reason Herb Street and Fowler are locked in for however long is because they know if they lose them two, the college football rankings are done.
Yep. Over with.
So if you really wanted to, in this war for talent, Herb Street, Fowler, and Tirico in the Monday night booth, you would never have another problem. You would never have to look for another Monday night person for the next 10 years. Think about that.
I still would like to see them add McAfee. I think McAfee, and like we joked about this, I still think McAfee would bring the like humor, but then again, he does have a very analytic mind when it comes.
And he
to
also got a mouth like Dice Clay. You really want that dude cussing on Monday nights?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I can see it now. The FCC fines be going through the roof.
And we talked about it. I think on for NFL, I think they really need to add Randy Moss.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, Moss, Herb Street, and Fowler. Man, that's you can't beat that.
Yeah, I really think
cannot.
that again, Moss deserves that job. They still haven't really talked about it much, but again, like I said, I generally even since high school, I always tuned in to College Football Game Day just because, again, the special guests were always fun and like talking to the head coach. The game day pick'ems are always fun. But like,
I mean, they had the Undertaker on there. You can't beat that.
Yeah, I mean that was he did that for the Texas game.
The Texas game, yeah, it was the Texas game. He's from Austin. Well, he lives in Austin and from Austin, one of the two. So it's like, shit,
like,
we got the Undertaker on there. I'm gonna watch that before I watch Spots.
Like Lee Corso is like the OG, and I like I said, I hope that man lives till the end of day. Like that man passes, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah, it is.
And man, he passes, that show's gonna retire. They're gonna retire that show. They ain't gonna have a choice. They're gonna
have to figure out a big change because there's no way you can you can't have Herb Street or Desmond Howard or any of those guys do the headdress in the same manner. You can have
Pat McAfee do it.
No, you can't.
No,
you can't. Because he gonna be the one. Hey man, this fucking helmet's too damn heavy. Get this shit off me.
This shit smells like pussy.
Hey man, why is this a funky ass rug in here? Whose hair is this? But you know what? It's a lot to talk about because we still got some time. So I believe a lot's going to change the landscape. So, you know, who knows? But I'm still sticking with my original theory about the college playoff going to 8 teams and Power Five getting the automatic bid because that to them that's what makes sense. You know,
Yeah,
those are the oldest conferences in college
I don't
football.
think they'll
So
ever expand it past that, unfortunately.
yeah,
Like
you'll
the
never
rest
see
of the
32
divisions,
teams.
but
You'll never see 32 teams. They every committee member would have a fucking heart attack trying to figure out who to match up with who.
yeah, especially after the like 9 conference champions. So
Yeah,
that would blow people's absolute fucking mind.
What about
So-
12?
still too many.
Yeah, because then you have like almost play-in games and
Yeah.
Not even that. Not even that. You eliminate half a bowl season doing that. Only because now
Should
instead of
happen.
8 games,
Bowl games.
you said what?
There's too many fucking bowl games. Nobody cares about a Tuesday fucking 11 a.m. fucking bowl game that nobody cares about. There's
You
way
know
too
who
Live.
cares about it? You know who cares about it? That school getting $3 million for being in that game care about it. That's why you seeing that game. The go shit. I didn't know I could use GoDaddy.com until I fucking saw that bowl game.
And like
here.
we said, even though like some of those bowl games are shit, I still tune into them because I want to watch some fucking football.
Exactly. And the NFL,
I watch
that's
every one of
playoff
them
time.
shits from December 20th when they usually start it, all the way through January 10th whenever they finalize all the bowls, even after the New Year's Eve 6 or New Year's Day bowls. Like shit.
Yeah, you still got the GMAC Bowl. Shit. So yeah, bro.
Fucking Lawn
yeah,
Daddy
you
fucking Gromer Ball.
right. You can say nobody cares, but it's people going to them games, man. Them games being shown on ESPN. ESPN is picking up them games because they know they need something in between.
Bro, they opened a game up down in the fucking Bahamas. They fucking mowed down a bunch
the
of fucking
Celebration
palm
Bowl.
trees and fucking
Yeah,
made a
they-
football field down in the Bahamas just to have a game down there.
Bro, that's the Celebration Bowl, man. That's the Black National College Championship. You can't deny that. Like
Yeah.
that's a big deal. So yeah, you got the the HBCU National Championship being played in the Bahamas. It's people going to these games, and every last one of them boosters or alumni will tell you, "I'd be damned if my team go 8-1 or 9-1 or whatever, and we ain't going to a bowl game. They're gonna make
what-
one up."
Damn, I forget what bowl it was. So last year, whenever I didn't have my truck yet, and I was using my wife's car, and I could only listen to the radio. I'd listen to the fan on the way home from work, and one of their late night hosts was talking about one of the bowls. I think it's the Sun Bowl down in Texas. I forget what city it is, but
I
either
think that
way,
might be where is UTEP? UTEP is in
it is
El
Utah.
Paso.
yeah,
El Paso.
El Paso.
So for 364 days a year, nobody gives a flying fuck about El Paso. That day that Sun Bowl is happening, that place is absolutely packed. And that's another thing off of some of these bowls. Those cities, that's where they make their biggest nut. Is
Exactly.
off the hospitality and everything for those bowl games.
Exactly.
That's the
So-
only thing. I guess that is the other good point, that these cities do make their year's worth off of that one day.
Exactly. All right, fellas. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah, man. We
Hope
sat here
everybody
and bullshit
enjoyed it.
for 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm gonna go because I'm supposed to be celebrating my birthday. So yeah, I'm gonna go get these little goblins I call kids
Sweet loving.
in the bed. Yeah. So I'll holler at you guys. Everybody at home, be safe. Peace.
All right, boys. I'm going to take off too. It was good talking to you guys. This actually turned out
Likewise.
to be way better. Or I shouldn't say way better, but this turned out to be a great option. So again, everybody have a good rest of your night, and we'll talk to you through the week.
All right, y'all. Take care.
All right, Ronnie. Peace, brother.